Hey folks, Dan Bidondi from TruthRadioShow.com, and I just want to bring up a question, and I know a lot of people, probably a lot of trolls are going to hit me up with this, but anyway, I just want to express right now, I'm not saying wearing a wedding ring is evil at all. I'm not saying that. I just want to bring up a question that crosses probably almost everybody's mind at one point in their life, some more. Where does it come from? Why is it significant? Why do you need one to get married and all that? And what's the traditions behind it? And a lot of people know it symbolizes eternity of eternal love. That's what it symbolizes in marriages and all that. But where does it really come from? Is it really biblical? Because a lot of people question that as well. And no, it's not biblical. And nothing in Holy Scriptures say you have to have a wedding ring. And nowhere in the Bible or Judeo-Christian history or the Hebrew history or even the Middle East, most of the religions there, that, not pure pagans, they don't use wedding rings. And we didn't use wedding rings here in early America. I think that you came out, I see the 16th, 17th, or maybe the 18th century here in America. That's when they started trickling into the society here in America. Where it came from is way back in the days of Egypt, probably a little sooner than that. People used to wear rings to symbolize wealth, power, to symbolize unity between a man and a woman and all that, depending on the ring. So yes, a ring was very symbolic in many different ways, and symbology is very important in the occult and the higher levels of paganism as well. And in the lower levels, they believe they symbolize love and everything else. But higher levels, a little bit more, because you get into the Ouroboros. A lot of people got to study that if you want to know about Ouroboros and everything else. The serpent or the dragon biting its own tail. But it's all connected together. And it goes with that karma mantra. Oh, yeah, by the way, if you really want to know what karma is, okay, and especially Christians who say, karma is a bitch or whatever, the slogans people use, you should really know what the hell you're talking about before you use it. Karma is not really what you think. What goes around comes around. No, it's a lot more involved. And if you want to learn about that, I got a video right here on my YouTube channel. It says Karma versus Jesus Christ, right on my YouTube channel here, so go watch that. But anyway, back to the wedding rings. There's many meanings behind a symbol. And anybody in the occult knows that, okay? People who study symbology knows there's many, many meanings for one symbol. But anyway, on the wedding aspect part, yeah, people used it. And even the Catholic Church at one point said it was the ways of the heathens. The Christians said that, the Judeo-Christians, Hebrews and everything else, it was the ways of the heathens. It was paganistic thing, because it does, its roots are from pagans. And it goes back further too, but how it got infected into Christianity. Well, in the 13th century, again, the Catholic Church was saying, hey, it's the ways of the heathens, but it was a bishop in the 13th century. He dubbed it a symbol of the union of hearts. So he spread it through the church, the Catholic Church here, and all of a sudden, it's a good thing now. Now, a couple hundred years later, it started when the Roman Catholic Church started infiltrating America here. In the 1800s and 1900s, Christians started conforming unto Vatican law. Most of them don't even know they did. But anyway, Christian churches started using wedding rings. All of a sudden, it became a tradition now. And I want to stress one thing. What does Jesus Christ say about tradition of men? Follow God, not man. That's what he says about tradition of men. That's just a little clue for you people. And why is it on the left finger? Well, some cultures have it on the right finger. They call it the ring finger. Well, this finger here on the right hand or the left hand, there's a vein that connects directly to your heart, which is believed. And in Rome, I think it was the 800s, it was called vena amoris. Again, vena amoris, which means a vein of love that is connected directly to your heart. That's what it means. So they believe that, and the ring symbolized the unity of you and that person giving it to you, of that love between your two hearts, and it's a circle of eternity. And that's where the bishop in the 13th century said, it symbolizes the union of hearts. So the Catholic Church adopted it. Years later, the Christian church adopted it. Now everywhere. You go anywhere in America to get married, you need a wedding ring. You need a certificate from the state or town to, the approval by them to get married. Some places you need blood tests. So I'm going to cover a whole video on this. You got to see this to believe it for yourself. When you go get the paperwork to get married, you have to get a permit and all that town, the thing through the town or your state to get married, your marriage paperwork. You won't believe what you're really signing. You actually your marriage belongs to the state, literally. And I'm going to cover that. I'm not going to get off subject now. I just want to save this video at least under 10 minutes because I ramble too much. But we're going to do a whole report on that. But and I'm not saying wearing a wedding ring is evil, but it's not biblical. And it's a tradition of men, yes, but it's not a tradition of God. And I can't really honestly say if it's evil or not, but right now I don't think you're going to go to hell for it. That's all. I know you're not going to go to hell for it. It's just that small little thing, but the pastors and priests should know this stuff. They should be following the laws and rules of the Bible, not the church. Because just say the Assembly of God Christians, for example, right? They belong to an organization of other churches. And they have to go by these strict guidelines and bylaws, and they all get funded from this organization. And most churches like this. They call mainstream churches. They belong to an organization. And within that organization and churches, there's a strict bylaws and guidelines, a constitution that they have to follow to the letter. And most of the time, it contradicts what the Bible has to say. So, that being said, they quickly adopted this thing that you have to have a wedding ring. But if you want to get married in the eyes of God, folks here, you do not need a wedding ring. You don't need a certificate from your town or your state. You don't need a certificate to show your blood work and nothing like that. And a real pastor out there, a real bishop or whatever, okay, should know this and recognize this. It should be a union between man and woman. Say, I do, and under God you are married, not the state or town. Under God. That's called a holy matrimony. That's been completely erased from our churches today. Even though they claim it's a holy matrimony, but no, they're still following the guidelines of the state and of this town, even though God's laws override man's laws, and it's called the First Amendment too, freedom of religion. So government has no authority to propose any laws upon a church like that. Because originally marriage is a holy matrimony between man and woman and God. That's what it's for. But they erased holy matrimony, and it's called a religion now. And taking the wedding ring, or you have to have a wedding ring, a requirement, is conforming to the traditions of man. So you are not following God. And again, I'm not saying you're going to go to hell for having a wedding ring. I mean, I would be a hypocrite to say that. That's, you're dead wrong for having it, because when I first got married, we used rings ourselves, but we didn't know either, because our pastors, all the churches we went to, they failed to tell us this stuff. And I'm not, again, if you want to get your girl a wedding ring or whatever, God bless you, whatever. But what also came out too is the commercialization of the corporations. The people made jewelry, so they jumped on us. So now, before you get married nowadays, you have to have a promise ring, a friendship ring, okay? You get with the girl, friendship ring, then a promise ring, which is technically an engagement ring, but the step before now. Then you get the engagement ring, which comes with the set with the wedding rings and everything else. Then it doesn't stop there. Then if you have children, you got to get a ring now with the birthstones on it. With the children and you and the husband. Then now it's the anniversary rings. So you see where this is going? Major commercialization of rings. So, it's just a big money maker. And again, I'm trying to keep this under 10 minutes. But again, you be your own judge, folks. Do the research. Fact check all this stuff if you want. But again, the wedding ring, it's not really of God. You don't need a wedding ring to get holy matrimony, get married under the eyes of God. But if you want to follow state regulations and traditions of man, I'm not your judge. Only God is. But anyway, folks, we're going to do some more reports on the stuff, especially the marriage that the state has you go through. It's crazy. I mean, I got to save that for the report. Anyway, check out my other video, like I said, Karma versus Jesus Christ. It's right on my YouTube channel. Anyway, this is Dan Bidondi for Truth Radio Show. God bless.